Yeah, let's just go live and talk to people. It's all right. It's a
All right.
live stream. So,
It's live. Let's go.
all right, here we go. We are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Over Sharon show. Nice live stream we got going on. I apologize for our tardiness. I just spent about 25 minutes at a gas station because the gas pump ate my card. It was very interesting. And the guy he tried helping, but God bless him. But anyway, we made it. It was snowing. It's a lovely day here in Connecticut. Sharon has the quote today. So let's see what's going on with the chat really quick. Let's welcome some people here.
Yeah, F it, we're doing it live. That's what
Cody. What's up, Cody?
Joe says.
Joker's Redemption's here too. Joe, Trisha. Hey, Trisha, what's going on? Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much. And Plasma Bear, that's amazing. Oh, and QSB is here.
Yay.
We're doing it, F it. Yeah, exactly. We're doing it live.
That's what we said, Rep. No, we didn't, but that's basically what we kind of said before we went live.
Yeah, that's the kind of, listen, this is
that's the
show.
Spirit of what we.
Yeah, we're bringing the humor to you guys on a Saturday night. Look at that. I'm not working. This is amazing. I'm not working, but I am working. No, this isn't really work. Yeah. We don't view this as work. All right. So yeah, you can read that and I'll shuffle. I got my angel deck here. I think it's pretty
Trisha's here. Robo Honky, welcome.
Oh, Robo Honky. What's up?
Yeah, so I'll just tell a quick little story before I read this. So yesterday I took a long walk in my neighborhood and we have a golf course around here. So I was like walking through the golf course and I was stopping. And at one point I'm walking through part of the golf course and I see a little white butterfly in the distance. And I'm looking at the butterfly and I'm like, oh, a white butterfly. Like I never see them. And mind you, here's a kind of a funny thing about butterflies, about me. Like I used to have this thing where like I didn't like butterflies or moths and probably still don't really like moths that much, but
I remember
but
that.
like I don't really like butterflies and didn't at the time back in the day, didn't like butterflies because they flutter and I don't know where they're going to fly. And it was something that I didn't like. Like, I don't know where you're going. So like, just stay away from me.
A flutterfly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of was not like really into them, but more recently I've noticed that I'm not like bothered by them. And I saw this one in the distance and I was like, oh, a white butterfly. And I was like, I wonder if it'll like come over toward me. Like maybe I wonder if it'll fly over toward me. And it was like quite a distance from me. And then it did. And it flew like right past me. And then it kept going. And I was like, that's crazy. Because it wasn't like I wasn't really in its path or anything.
It just came towards you.
Yeah, it came toward me and then it flew right by me.
Good thing it wasn't a black butterfly. You'd have to lock your doors if it came after. Zing. That's what I do, everybody. I'm bringing the comedy. Anyway, sorry.
So I thought to myself, well, you know what? I'm just going to look up what it means to come across a white butterfly and the meaning of it. And I came across this page and a lot of it was, really nice and it was really resonating with me. But this is the one that I thought was really cool that I want to read out loud. So, and because I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today. And so this really spoke to me and I feel like it was telling me, about what we were going to talk about on our show. So it says the white butterfly spirit animal is all about trust, purity, honesty, and positive intentions towards all that they meet. White butterfly energy is full of compassion, love, and non-judgmental energy and emotions towards others. It is about acceptance of themselves and of those around them. They also teach forgiveness. If a white butterfly shows up in your life as your spirit animal guide, this is a good time to focus on healing your relationships and forgiving past hurts and traumas. You are shifting into a higher reality where past pain should no longer hold you back. It can be healing to meditation or prayers that are centered on sending compassion to yourself and the world around you, which can be very healing in ways beyond our understanding. The entire world needs love and compassion right now. And we all have the power to send that out.
Yeah, I would say.
What? I was like, what? That is just exactly what we were going to talk about today, pretty much.
Yeah, I saw that and it blew me away. I was like, wow, that's great. It's exactly what we need right now. All right. Well, I pulled a card. It's the Chariot. I'll pin myself so people can see it better. Number 7
I
of the
feel like we've pulled this and we talked about it.
Yeah. Look at this one. So this is the Angel Tarot deck, Influence of the Angels, it's called. So we have an angel right here. A couple little horses at the bottom, like you would see in a chariot cart. A little 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pointed star at the bottom. What I'm guessing, yes, 8-wheeled. It's like an 8-wheeled I don't know what you'd call it.
That's really cool looking.
Oh, hey Rachel. Welcome, Rachel.
What's up, girl? She's my Pilates friend.
Oh.
Yeah, she's cool.
Must be nice to have friends. No.
Yeah, we're gonna hang out next week.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, let me put it back to us again. There we go. So people could see you. Okay. So yeah, that's the Chariot card, everybody. And I think that's also pretty synchronistic because the Chariot really, in like the Rider Waite, you see the 2 different color horses, I think it is, but it talks about how it's like opposing forces and trying to get them to go the same way, and you're kind of just stuck at some point and stuff like that. And we all know 7's a good number. It's like the number of perfection. Could it be? Just like us, we are perfect. Just like the world is perfect.
The world
is perfect. Now, let me just bring up my notes here and I'll be good to go. All right. So basically, we wanted to do this live stream because we're seeing, we always talk about division here on the Oversharing Show. That's like our number one thing that we never shut up about. We're always like, all this division. And I mean, I've done a lot of work and research into this division to see where it comes from. And it's even outlined a lot in all kinds of pop culture and movies and stuff. Like I'm always talking about Lord of the Rings. If you think of Lord of the Rings, where you have the elves that are like fighting the dwarves and the men aren't really getting along with them all the time. And then basically by all that, all that not getting along and all that fighting and bickering, evil is allowed to come back and build itself up really strong in Mordor. And then finally at the end, when it gets really bad, then the people have to unite. And I feel like we kind of went through a situation like that in 2020, because we're on YouTube, we don't have to expand. Everybody knows what we're talking about. And there's a lot of pressure for this experimental medical serum, and people are really getting together behind it and rallying behind it and forgetting their little differences that they had because they had a common enemy that they had to unite. And I feel like in the past couple months, I mean, maybe even since the summer, it's really gone away. Last year, this time, that whole experimental medical serum was like hardcore, but it went away. Maybe even like mid to beginning of 2022, something like that. It kind of faded away. And I think now that people have realized that it's faded away and all that stuff, I feel like people are starting to go back to this division and this fighting that they have that's been going on. So that's why we wanted to do a little live stream and talk about that. And especially, I'm sure you guys are familiar with what's going on with like certain comedian that we follow and another guy that he used to be friends with, and they're not friends anymore. And there's a lot of people that are like on one side or the other of that. And not a lot of people that watch our show, though, I would say. I mean, some people. So we just wanted to talk about what's really important and why this division stuff is really hurtful and dangerous, because it kind of leaves us open, because if something else happens again, and I really feel like there's probably some other prank, we'll call it, right on the horizon that's going to happen, maybe a war or something like that. And these divisions right now are what people might remember when that happens. So they might not be so quick to get back together because of it, And I think that if that's true, some people will be a lot easier easily influenced, and maybe they'll agree with that war or whatever it is that happens. They'll just have more despair because they don't have the same sense of community that they had before, or maybe their community got a little smaller. Hey, what's up, Io Walks is in the chat. So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. We're not going to get into any specifics of any certain division that's going on or whatever. I think we're just going to kind of talk about what we see, and of course all the stuff that I've looked into before about division, and we're going to see if it resonates with anybody, and then we'll maybe talk about other stuff after that. But we kind of want to talk about what our show is about. And Sharon, why don't you talk about a little bit what our show's about, and then I'll fill in some more.
Yeah, so it kind of over time it's kind of evolved into our show being about like love and compassion, and accepting people for who they are, and just letting everything be, because everything is perfect. Everything is coming, it just like it's just happening for a reason, and it's all meant to be for whatever reason. Like something good will come out of it. It's like the Bible even says like all these things that happen will happen for good to those who love God. So yeah, so our show has become a lot about love and compassion. And so and the other thing is Brandon and I have this like Libra energy. I'm a Libra sun. We talk about this all the time. Brandon's a Libra rising. So we have this tendency to be able to look at both sides and not pick a side. Like, it's the thing too is like sometimes you have like friends on both sides, of some situation. And so even like just think of it like if you have family members, and like let's say if you're a parent, let's say two of your children are like bickering with each other, like you don't pick a side, right? Like if you don't have children, and if you have like siblings or two family members that you just love very much, and they're both bickering about something, like you don't pick a side. You just have to love them for who they are, however they're acting. You just love them, So yeah, that's kind of like, that's one of the reasons we talk about a lot of division and stuff like that, because we want to look at this from a more positive perspective, and a more like how can we do things better, because like division and fighting is not going to lead to good things necessarily. Yeah, they're good in the sense that they bring about change, and maybe they bring about like I would say kind of like a phoenix rising out of the ash. Like you have to fall to get back up, but it doesn't feel good. And if you're just a bystander, you kind of just got to love people for who they are, or however they're acting at that moment, just let them be. And
Yeah.
maybe you sidestep and you don't, get involved, but yeah.
So sorry, the reason I'm smiling is because speaking of division, my cat's right now for some reason.
We're divided.
Yeah, it's so funny. Snickers has been getting fired up at Thumper lately, and she's the female, and it for some reason down here where I live stream, it's a little worse. But she's like, here they go. So that sounds really bad, but that's just her like yelling at him because he's down over here next to her on the floor. But anyway, we'll persist. Come here, kitty. Oh, what a poor kitty. Anyway, so speaking of that Libra energy, oh my God, my Thumper's tail is all puffed up. It looks so funny. It's like all thick. Come on, guys. You're not going to really fight. Like, you love each other. Stop it.
See, Brandon doesn't choose which cat he likes best right now, and they're fighting.
Exactly. Hang on. Let me just open this door really quick. It'll take 2 seconds. But what I wanted to add to what you were saying also was that it's not like we never pick sides. We'll see it sometimes. We could pick a side, like when people are coming at you with an experimental medical serum, or there's like a threat to your life, or it's something really bad. But with the Libra energy, we're able to, I guess that's what it is, because this is something I've done my whole life. Like you were saying with friends, like I've always had friends
On both
that
sides.
something happens between them. I'm good friends with both of them, and then they for some reason hate each other, and I remain friends with both of them because I could see the side on each. He said the cats are giving us the best lesson on the subject right now. Exactly, Joe. It's so funny. It's just in the air. That's what we were talking. We think it's just something in the air. But as I guess because we're Libras or whatever it is, however you want to say it, because some people aren't always into astrology or whatever, but we're able to kind of look at both sides and try both sides on and also empathize with both sides. And I think that's just one of the gifts that we have. Everybody has their own gift. And the reason that we're talking about this is because we have this gift in conjunction. And a lot of these things make sense to us. So we want to try to send the Rock'em Sock'em robots in. That's what Stacy said. Yeah, exactly. It's like that game with the robots. So we just wanted to share that point of view with people, and take of it what you will. We don't claim to know everything. We're not making claims here on the Oversharing Show. We're just trying to point out some stuff that we've seen. And a lot of this stuff, like I said, it's happened like within the last month. So I feel like that script flip that we talk about all the time, where people are going to start viewing things that happened in 2020 to 2022 in a different light, and a light's going to be shed. I feel like we're already starting to see that now. And I think that's what this is about. I mean, I saw a picture somebody put, I think it was on Instagram, and it was from New York City. And it was a sign that said, due to the spike in crimes, we are not letting anybody in with masks anymore. And it was like basically no mask, or like if you have a mask, you can't come in here. So it's like the total opposite of what was going on, because I have friends that went to New York City. Was it 2021, maybe early 2022? And one of them had the experimental medical serum and the other one didn't. And they went to go to this restaurant. It was like a takeout place or whatever, probably fast food or something. And my friend that had the friend that whatever, he was fine. But the other one that didn't, they didn't let him. Well, they let him come in and order his food and take it, but he had to leave. He couldn't sit down and eat it inside. So he could still go inside and order, but he couldn't eat it in there. It was so funny. Oh man. But now they're saying now you can't wear a mask at all. I mean, I only saw that one thing on Instagram. Like I said, I don't know somebody that went down there. Somebody could have made up that sign, but I wouldn't, it wouldn't shock me if that's what was going on. And, we see a lot of this. One of the things that this reminds me of with the division is the drug war and all the propaganda that happened as a result of the drug war. Because I remember when I was a kid, we had like a police officer come in and tell us about all these drugs and how dangerous they were. And, like if you even try marijuana, you're going to end up doing heroin and all this stuff. And they kind of classified them all together. And I think that what happened was there were some people that just really never got into drugs and all that stuff because of it. And then some people that did, and the people that did, especially like with weed, they realize it's not what they were told, right? It really isn't exactly, maybe it's not the best thing for people to be smoking weed all day, but it doesn't have the negative effects like some people would think, right? So, and then you have other people on the other side that have this notion that any kind of drug that you do is bad, anything to do with weed or CBD or whatever it is. So they're kind of dead set against it. And because of that, you have people kind of butting heads for something that isn't that big of a deal. That in our book anyway, I can understand if, you're on one side or the other of this argument, but we feel like it's not really that big of a deal. If people are doing that, because the way we look at it is, you got to do it till you're done, right? We always talk about that, like, do it till you're done, baby. But that's one thing that we see a lot. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say about that. Because it could be really like, especially we'll take weed, for example, right? So some people can smoke weed and they don't do anything. They play video games all day and they just procrastinate or whatever. They do nothing with their life. And then some people smoke weed and it helps them with either like an illness, like we were talking about, I guess a couple of days ago with Ben Balderson. I always got to remember now because we're live. So we're live. So it really did happen Thursday. It's not like 2 weeks in advance. And he was saying how it helps him with his seizures. Like he had grand mal seizures, I think he said.
And he still can, but if he does the weed, he's fine.
Yeah, and it's really hard if you know about Ben Balderson to argue that he's not a productive guy. I mean, the guy runs his own homestead. He does alchemy experiments. He does podcasts. He's on Crow 777. He does all these crazy things. So you can look at that example right there just to kind of get an idea. It's not really one side or the other. Everybody wants it to be so black and white. Everybody wants these issues to be like right down the road. It's either good or bad, negative or positive, or you're gonna go to hell or you're gonna go to heaven. It's this black or white. Where I see in this realm, I really feel like there's so much more nuance to all these things. I think that with the drug or with just the marijuana, weed, or cannabis thing, however you refer to it, I think it more has to do with the person in general, and like maybe their wounds or what they've been through or what's going on. And you can use it as escapism, or you can also use it as a tool in your life if you want to either help you with an illness or help you gather your thoughts better, or whatever it is that it does for you. And I know my own experience, I was pretty much I smoked weed like in high school, and then I quit when I joined the Marines. And then I didn't really, I got out. So I joined when I was 18. I got out when I was 22, and I didn't start smoking weed again. And I maybe smoked it a handful of times between like the age of 22 and the age of like 35 or 36 when I started doing stand-up comedy. And that's when I started to smoke it. And eventually, after a couple of years, I started smoking every day. And in last year, 2022, I ran out of weed. So I just kind of quit for a while. I took a whole month off, and now I have a different relationship with it, where sometimes I smoke, sometimes I don't. Usually it's at night if I do. And again, I'm not judging anybody if you still smoke it every day, because I feel like it's something that was really helping me up until that point. And then I felt like I got to this point where I wanted to try something else. Like it was either holding me back, or I can't really explain it, but it's an individual thing, like most things that we talk about, like cosmology. Could it be, is that an individual thing too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like
go ahead.
every single body is different. And we were talking about this with Ben Balderson too. Like everybody will experience something differently. And just as an example, like for me, it's kind of funny because there's a lot, and I don't know, I can't remember if I said this on the show with Ben, but like I try stuff, and people are like, will come up with like, there's always some like thing that's going to like do something for somebody. And like, you'll see commercials on YouTube, you'll see whatever, you'll see things like, oh, you need to buy this thing because this is going to be the thing that does it for you. Like, this is going to solve all your problems. Like, it could be celery juice. It could be, it could be anything. Right. And the funny thing is I've done a lot of those things or supplement, I bought so many supplements. I bought so many things that were like, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be the thing that does it. And the funny part was like very little things that I did, like did it for me. Like they just, and I didn't say this, I don't think I said on the show with Ben, but I was going to say that like when I went and I changed my lifestyle to like a low carb, like a paleo low carb style, and I don't call it anything. It's just low carb because I just eating more meat was better for me, like I was saying. And so that was one thing that really helped me. But of all the other things in this realm, like that was one thing that helped me. Right. So like, I've tried smoking weed. Like I've tried taking from people's joints and stuff, and like I get nothing. So and so my body doesn't respond like other people's bodies. It's very different. So every person is unique and needs certain things and doesn't need other things and responds differently to different things. So there's my spiel.
Yeah. Diet is a huge one, because I remember just like growing up and you know, even into my adult years, there's all these diets that would come out, like the Atkins diet, or, you know, like the orange diet. I'm eating an orange right now. I didn't really eat today. So I looked around. I'm like, I have an orange. I'm going to eat that during the show. Or, you know, vegan or carnivore, all these different things. And like, even like Ben was saying, he thinks it has to do maybe with the blood type. And that makes a lot of sense. It could be maybe the blood type diet itself isn't exactly right, but there's aspects
It's
of it that are
close
right.
enough that it seems to correlate.
Yeah. And like, again, everybody's different, right? So when it comes to diet, and that's another thing too, where people really get heavily divided is over diet. People fight about it, like, no, you have to be a vegan, or no, you have to do this. This is it, you know, whereas, you know, and again, we're not recommending any different diet here in the Oversharing Show. We just know what works for us. But I've tried a bunch of different things myself, and that seems to be what worked for me too, is the low carb. And you said you're type O, right? Your blood is type
Yeah,
O.
and you are too,
Yeah,
right?
and I'm type
Yeah.
O as well. So
Yeah.
hey, you never know. Maybe it could be. And that's because I mean, I could show pictures. I should probably put them in the Oversharing Telegram group that we have, where I've had pictures when I used to be heavier, and you know, I didn't have all these beautiful, lovely locks and facial hair, but I was definitely like fat. I mean, now I'm like skinny. You know what I mean? It's great. I have this giant coat on because it's a little chilly down here, but yeah, I got my bare issue. But yeah, so I was able to lose weight and keep it off, and it's not like I'm some great person with my diet. And I'm pretty much, I eat one meal a day, and then I just eat some snacks at night. In the morning, I do the coffee with the coconut oil and the butter or whatever, but that's what works for me. You know, something could come along and then all of a sudden I don't drink coffee anymore. Who knows? But for now, that's what's working. And I think it's the same for cosmology, or, you know, a number of different things. I don't think we're all supposed to kind of have the same, do it all the same, right? It would be boring. It'd be a very boring realm if everybody was exactly the same. And we talked about this before too, where, and I know in my case, I'll just speak from experience. I think what it was before was, if I came across something that worked for me, I'd want everybody else to do it. You know, I'd be like, oh no, you got to stop eating bread. I'm like,
I
bread and
did that.
carbs, right? And then you try
I
to
did
tell
that.
everybody. And what I found, especially through studying a lot of this psychology, I guess, and going through like healing a lot of different wounds in myself, was I had this point of view previously where I would want people to, do what I do, because I felt like I needed to be validated in what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I always ran into problem with this because I realized I'm an early adopter, which a lot of people that watch the show are early adopters. That's what makes me very excited
too.
about this show, because a lot of the people that watch the show are just like that. So they know we're like we're the new next big up and coming thing, you know. But now I realize it doesn't matter. I don't have to spread all that. Like, so if somebody asks me now, I'll tell them, I'll say, you know, this is what works for me. You might be different, but this is what I tried. Have you tried different things? You know, I don't try to go preach to them, and tell them what not to do. Even when it comes to the experimental medical serum, you know, like, at first I was telling everybody not to do it, but now I'm just like, or even a year or two ago, I was just like, I mean, you know, I can't change your mind. You're just going to think I'm crazy if I tell you not to do it. You know, if you ask me if I did it, I'll just be like, listen, I don't, Cody says we're the next cult. That'd be great. I wish.
Right.
Um, what I would tell people is that, you know, I don't want the experimental medical serum, but also I've been saying for like 15 years now, like, if I get sick or something happens, just bring me and leave me in a field, or like leave me in the woods. Like, don't take me to a hospital. So it's like nothing new. That's what I tell people, you know, it's like, I've always not been a big fan of, big pharma, I guess you could call it, or however people say it these days, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, I mean, I think that's really the crux of the issue, is the validation. A lot of people want people to be on their team, and then they could feel validated. And I know from experience, because I was that way. So it's not like I'm making judgments about that right now. But Sharon and I always talk about, you know, we have some notes. I'm probably getting off of them, but let me see. We always talk about prioritizing the qualities that you see in people and the traits of people. You have their diet, you have their like cosmology, but then you also have like how they act. Will they
How they treat
come,
people.
if you need a ride to the airport, will they give you a ride? Like if your pipes burst in the middle of the night, can you call them up to have them come over and help you with that? Are they good people? Are they treating others like they want to be treated? Are they living in accordance with the golden rule or natural law, or however their cosmology gets them there? Are they doing it? Are they actually doing the work, and they're not just saying it? They're not just like saying magic phrases. Because I think that happens in all different kinds of cosmologies, because what we're into, a lot of people can call kind of new age, but the thing that I see with the new age is it's all talk and they don't really do the work. They just hope they'll say, oh, the world's perfect. Like me and you will say, oh, the world's perfect. And somebody could say, oh, you're just a crazy new ager. And my perspective is, I feel like if there is a creator, he created all this, and all this stuff that's happening is all part of what's supposed to happen, so it could come back to whatever it has to do or whatever has to be accomplished. All those evil people out there are helping just as much as all the good people. Now, when you do these quote unquote evil things and these bad things, and you're looking out for yourself over others, you're going to pay those consequences. Stuff's going to happen in your life. You're going to have, you're going to be like I was, like fat, and you're going to whatever, or you're going to be miserable, or you're maybe end up with some like kind of alcoholism or something. And or a lot of bad things are just going to happen to you because of that. And I'm not saying bad things don't happen if you're walking your quote unquote path, but it's really about how you're going to react to all those things that happen. I mean, that's a whole other discussion that we can get into also, I'm sure we'll talk about, which is like not taking things personally and stuff like that. But that's how I look at it. So if somebody's out there in the world and they're like, Bill Gates or whatever, all these evil, terrible people doing these things, I don't sit home and say, oh, I hate them, they're so evil, I wish, all these bad things upon them. Because I know, like, even it says in the Bible, vengeance is mine, so saith the Lord, right? Like, they're going to get theirs. And as long as they're not affecting me directly, like if Bill Gates was like walking into my house
That'd be a
trying to
different
give me a
story.
shot or trying to shoot or something like that. Now, see, that's different because they're coming at you. They're coming at you directly. And that is actually when you're a victim, right? There's a threat to you. And that's when we talk about self-defense and what that means. And I've talked about this recently, and I talk about this all the time, where I feel like self-defense is, if you have to engage in self-defense and you have to unfortunately do harm to somebody else because they're coming at you, so you have to either take them out or whatever, it's really all about your state of mind when that's going on. And it's about not getting into that excitement and that rage squirt. And I was just talking about this because I was in the Marine Corps. I said that earlier. I was in boot camp, right? And I wrote about this in my book, how they train people. And they basically train you to be a killer. Like, this is a bit that I wanted to work on about wearing a mask, where it's like, I tell people, you want me to wear a mask, but you don't understand. I was in Marine Corps boot camp. They put me in this place for 3 months away from my friends and family. And the only contact I had was writing letters. I think I made 1 or 2 phone calls while I was there. I was allowed to make like 2 10-minute phone calls. They put me in this place, shave my head. Everybody looks the same. And they teach you this one word. This word becomes your mantra. Every time they give you a command to do something, you have to yell this word and go do it. And, on and on. And I build it up.
Sounds
and then
like
basically
MK Ultra.
Yeah. And basically I say, you know what that word is, guys? It's kill, kill, kill. Like, they always want us to be like, kill. And I'm
Oh,
like, now you want
wow.
me to put a mask on? Sure, let's do it. Let's fucking give me some anonymity, and we'll see what happens. It's probably not a good idea, so that's kind of my way of approaching it and joking about it. But even in my book, though, I wrote that even though they did that to us, I asked to join the Marine Corps. I signed up knowing fully that I could end up in combat. So they're just getting us ready. They would be negligent if they didn't train us in that way, because we'd really get our asses kicked if we weren't like a well-oiled, disciplined machine, So I signed up for it and I asked for it. But what was the original point I was talking about? I always get so excited when I
Don't rage squirt when you're like, if Bill Gates comes to your door, then
Yes.
you have to defend yourself. If he's
Yes,
going to try to force.
Yeah, if you have to defend yourself, basically, and you have to do that, I think that the better state of mind to be in would be to have thoughts more like, forgive them, they know not what they do. This is an unfortunate thing that I have to do, and kind of look at it that way, somberly. I think it even says in the Tao about going to war. It's like you should never go to a war. You should enter a war as if you're entering like a funeral or
Like
whatever, you know.
solemnly.
Yeah, solemnly, exactly. And the reason I say that is because I think if you do get that rage squirt and you get excited, and trust me, I know it's not that I ever shot or killed anybody, but like just from playing video games, right? And you're just like, yeah, fuck, die, like playing Halo and you're killing all these people.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, lucky you. And even later, I like when I when you think about these situations, like the school shootings that used to happen, I'd always be like, oh, I wish I was there. I would have fucking killed all those idiot, well, the bad guys. I mean, I'm not going to shoot the students, right? You want to be the hero and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get them. And then you watch these movies like John Wick and The Matrix and all these movies, and you're just like, yeah, kill all these people. They're such idiots. But I think what happens though, when you get in that frame of mind, is it infects you. So if it's like a demon or whatever, it kind of hops into you. And that's why I think a lot of times in movies they show where somebody will kill somebody and then they become the killer, or they become the serial killer, or whatever it is, they find the guy. And I think it's because they're doing it out of that rage, and it just takes you over. It's just like Star Wars. At the end of Return of the Jedi, when Luke is facing Vader and the Emperor is like, strike me down and you would become, use your anger. Because that's what he wanted him to do. He was willing to sacrifice himself to make the next guy, even if, he wanted Luke to come to the dark side. So he wanted him to strike out with that anger. And I feel like that is the danger. And that's the difference between the new age. That's what I was talking about before that, where we look at the world as perfect, but it's because we realize that we can't understand if there is a God, the all, however you want to look at it, right? We can't understand their plan. We don't reason or think as a God. We're men. And it doesn't mean we weren't made in his image and we can't create and do all these beautiful things, but we can't comprehend the plan. It's the same way we can't exactly comprehend what this realm is. People argue all day if it's a globe or if it's flat or if it's a simulation, and that's why another reason why we take the stance that it's a realm, or that's why I take it. And I know Sharon agrees. I don't make her, guys. Sharon, if you don't agree, I'm going to kick you off the show, and it's going to be the Over Brandon show, and it's not going to make any sense, and it's going to suck.
Everybody's over Brandon. Get out of here.
Welcome back to the Over Brandon show.
Nobody likes Brandon
because she thinks we're in a simulation, and I said it's a realm, and we threw oranges at each other, and we got mad.
Yeah.
But yeah,
out of context over Sharon. Somebody's going to clip that and be like, see, I told you they believe in simulation theory.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the defense of our show. And we joke around about this amongst ourselves, but our show's defense, why people don't really get offended, is because they don't watch long enough. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And they're just like, oh, this is boring. And then they miss the part where we talk about like, the devil and all that stuff. Which we probably definitely have to talk about because I put it in
the devil card
artwork. Yeah. So we'll talk about that at some point. But another thing we could talk about too is some of these different psyops that are going on, right? So people see that train accident or whatever that happened, the derailment that happened in Ohio, and they freak out and they think it's this setup plan and it's all this stuff. And they're like, they made a movie about it a year before where a train derailed in Ohio. Isn't that, it must be set up. And I'm like, but aren't you the same person who was just talking about all these wonderful synchronicities in your life and how crazy it is? Like, can't that just be another synchronicity? Maybe it's the way synchronicities work. I also think it has to do with the mass consciousness. This is something we want to bring up, and it's cool that Joe's in the chat because we talked about this with him when he was on our show about 7-Eleven being an inside or a part-time job and how those buildings went down. And his point of view was that he thinks it was just consciousness, because everybody in the world that had a television at the time was focused in on those towers. So could it be somehow there's some black ritual or black magic ritual where you can get stuff to dustify because you have enough people focused on it, and then you're throwing out all this innuendo on the news about, oh, they might collapse or whatever, so everyone's sitting there waiting for them to collapse. I mean, maybe that's what made it collapse. Could it be? I don't know. I wasn't there exactly. I did see it happen on TV though, so I guess that was part of it. It's all my fault. I did 7-Eleven, guys. I'm
You were
admitting it
there.
right now on the Oversharing show. I
You
was the
were
part-time job that did it. I was the inside guy. I was like, come on. Man, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, so that's what I think that could be, that's something we just wanted to talk about and highlight, because a lot of people will think everything's fake and everything is staged and there's they or a them that's behind everything. And I don't think that the people that are the they and the them have that much power. Maybe they realize how they could set up these pranks and they can get it to work, but I don't think they control everything. They probably rely on synchronicity just as much as we do. Maybe they just have a different way to look on it. I don't know, but I'm gonna check in the chat and see if we got any good things. I've been blabbing for a while. Ooh, welcome, Alan Marcus. All Brandon. I love it. That's funny. Let's go, Brandon Plasma. Yeah, there we go. He knows. Halo shout out sevens. Yeah, I used to play Halo 1 on LAN parties back in like 2001 or whatever it was. Speaking of 2001, maybe it was Halo that made the time.
Oh,
I think they
no.
came out right after that. I think it was right after it was Xbox. Yeah, and Joe says you put your energy into something and it plays out through synchronicity. Exactly. Robo Honky says I blame Casey Jones for the train disaster. He was high on cocaine allegedly. That's a song. Driving that train high on cocaine. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Maybe
that.
they should have had cocaine and that wouldn't have been an issue, right? Maybe they would have been more alert and awake and they were just working too hard and they didn't have cocaine. This isn't a commercial for cocaine, everybody. I'm a comedian, remember? Oh, Alan Marcus said Oversharing show gonna blow up. Yes, hopefully not like 7-Eleven, but we don't
like our
honestly, we
niche
don't even.
crowd.
What's that?
I said we like our niche crowd.
Yeah, we like our niche crowd and we like being a small show. I mean, if we blow up, great. I'm not gonna but it's not like we do this. I mean, yeah, it would be cool to have a show where you can actually make a living off of it. And that's, like a lot of people do, but I don't look at this as that. This isn't what I'm going for. And Sharon, I know we've had plenty of conversations. We kind of just do this. It's really for ourselves, right? We're selfish because we have all these things to say and to overshare with people, and we meet all these other people where we see them on podcasts, and we're always saying to ourselves, we'd love to talk to them, but you can't just say, hey Ben, you want to talk on the phone for an hour? But if you're like, hey, do you want to come on our show? People are much more willing. Hey, what's up, Zeralath? He's in the chat now. He says we are all nature lovers. You dirty nature lover. Oh man, we're gonna get kicked off now. Yeah, so we do this stuff because it's part of our rhetoric, I guess. It's like we express. It's our output that we do because we learn all these things, and hopefully other people can learn and at least be entertained. And it's a good outlet for my silly jokes too, which I love. And it said, Joe said, how many of these people in the movie from that town had that image act full of excitement from the movie? Yeah, exactly. So you had all these people in Ohio that were like, oh, we're gonna the train's gonna derail, or isn't that cool? And then it happens. So I could see, especially these days, the synchronicities just seem to be like out of control. Sharon, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
I was just gonna say that it's an outlet for my philosophizing, and I get to talk about the things that kind of go through my mind and philosophize. And well, that's how it started, right? And then it morphed into like having people on the show to talk about mostly we asked about their spiritual journey, because it started off as like, what is this, pretty much what is this realm, what are demons, what are angels, what are these interactions that people have with entities, like what is that, what is all that? So we started having people on to talk about things like that, and we started philosophizing about it, and it just morphed into what it is today.
Oh, Trisha, thank you. She said, I don't like hanging with the popular crowd, and I like Brandon's jokes. Thank you. Yes. Luckily I found a woman who loves my jokes as well. not Sharon. Maybe we should talk about that too for people who are new to the show or don't know. Sharon and I are like brother and sister. We're great friends. We met through the Beartaria Times app and we just hit it off greatly, but we also have our own social lives and loves in our life. But that's one thing that's really cool with me because I feel like with my woman, I'm kind of like her own personal comedian, right? And I just make her laugh. And she gets a lot of the stuff that we talk about with the self-healing. You know, she was into this. She never wore a mask or got the experimental medical serum. And she's not even like a truther or anything like that. She just was in the, I guess you could say, alternative medical industry. You know, she was into that stuff and she saw that it was all kind of BS. So she never even wore a mask. It's great. So I meet somebody like in Connecticut of all places, you know, that but anyway, enough about me. I was talking about my jokes. But yeah, I think that honestly, I was even telling someone this the other day. That's kind of how I view the world. To me, it is one big joke. And I know some people will get offended by that. They're like, oh, you got to take this seriously. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't got to take anything seriously. I do take things seriously and I could be serious and stuff. But in that same way of looking at the world as perfect, I always also see it as a big cosmic joke at some point, you know. And again, when we say it's perfect, it's not like we could just sit back. That would be the new age thing, right? The new age thing is it's perfect. Sit back and meditate all day. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to address your childhood trauma. You know, you could just keep watching porn or, you know, getting drunk every night, whatever, as long as you're just meditating and everything will be fine. But we say, no, everything's perfect because it takes us out of victim narrative. We don't have to be victims to poor William Gates, who we keep picking on. He's probably a really nice guy. No, fuck that guy. You know, we don't have to sit here and think about getting him and like, oh, if I could just see him, I would, you know, oh, this would be great, and rage squirting and all that stuff. We're like, no, we realize that he's putting out an offer, him and all his buddies are putting out this offer.
He's playing out his role.
Yeah, he's playing out his role. Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to partake in that if you don't want to. And some people lost their jobs because of it. And a lot of people I've talked to actually have done better because they had faith in God, in the realm, and the way it works. And they didn't have any fear when it came to it. And, you know, my brother's one of them. He didn't get fired, but they kept harassing him at his job. They kept sending him emails and he just kept ignoring them. It was so great. He's like, I'm just ignoring it. He's like, they need me. He's like, they can't fire me. They need these. Where he works, he's like a mechanic. He works on machines that make things. I don't want to get too specific. You shave with them. But anyway, so he was just like, yeah, fuck that. And then finally one day they just sent out an email saying, oh, remember all that stuff we said? Don't worry about it. And he was like, I'm good. It was great. So, you know, and again, if for us, for Sharon and I, we don't have children. It's easier for us to get through things like this. I get it if you're in a harder situation, but I feel like at the end of the day, everybody, like we were saying, has their own path and there's a way to get through it, you know? Oh, Joe said too, same here, pressure, but all empty threats. Yeah, there was a lot of empty threats and pressure. And a lot of people learn from it, you know? That's what I don't think these companies realized is that all these people now that didn't do it, but still have their jobs, even though they're heavily pressured, that company lost some control over those people, you know? So they might even lost a lot of loyalty and stuff. I mean, think about it. Like if you're working at a job, you're not going to care as much, maybe, you know? It's another day in paradise. You just got to believe. Exactly. 7-Eleven, Lucas. How are you doing? How does Joe not have I got to give him a wrench. Let's
give Trisha a wrench too.
Oh, good call.
Zeralath too.
Zeralath doesn't. Oh, it's because he has a new
account. Yeah.
New account. All right, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say earlier when you were talking about roles that people have, and like this realm as I see it is made up of all the positive and negative experiences that you can have. That's the point, I think, of this realm. And it goes back to some of the things that like Crow and Fortune Germain talk about, Fortune Saint Germain, but people are, you experience stuff. What is it? You experience it through joy or sorrow. What is that quote again?
We're here to learn lessons. You can learn them through suffering or joy.
Yeah, you're here to learn lessons. You're here to learn them. You can learn them through suffering or joy. And so that's what this realm is about, really. So you know, you can't eliminate all the evil people in this realm. It's just not going to happen. The point of this realm is to learn those lessons of the disputes and how to handle conflict and how to handle difficult situations. I think that's the point. And are you going to do it in love, or are you going to do it with hate and, spewing out anger? You know what I mean? Pick.
Exactly. All right, I'm answering Joe because he's like, "What's this wrench all about?" You can throw it at people now like a monkey. No, basically just kick on you could click on the three dots next to things and you could like edit them or kick people out and all that stuff. Billing Tano says, "Cheers, y'all. Shout out to the Beartaria Times app. Yep, that's where we met. I actually got my Beartaria Times shirt on right now. I didn't exactly plan that. I was just wearing it, but it's cool because I've made a lot of friends through there, and met Quiet Sparky Bear through there. We've been hiking a bunch of times.
I met Brandon through there.
Yeah, I met Sharon.
I met Cody, the love of my life.
Zeralath I met through there. He's the love of my life. We're announcing to everybody we're getting gay married.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. We're just gonna get gay engaged and then gay divorced. No.
Oh God.
So terrible of me. The wrench is the power of welcome, cadet. That's what Iowalks just said. Nice. He's hilarious. Yeah, so it's that I forgot what I was gonna say, but that's kind of how we view it. I think we're really here to elevate our consciousness. And really what that means is to it's so funny because the New Age, they do such a good job of taking part of it, and it's the same thing that I see a lot of organized religions do. I think it's just the other side of that division quarter. One side's New Age and one side's, like, you could say, organized religion, where they take these ideas and they invert them. It's just like an inversion, and that's why it makes a lot of sense to people, because it resonates with them just enough to go along. But the problem with the New Age, or mostly an organized religion, is they think it's their way or the highway. Like, it's either our way or you're on a highway to hell, right? You either got to say our magic words or you're going to hell. And we're seeing that unfold right now with two people that have audiences and shows that are bigger than ours, and a lot of us are friends with them, or not friends with them, or followers of them, and it seems to be going on one side or another. And what I would say to that is, we talk about prioritizing the qualities you see in people. Is somebody a good person? Are they living in accordance with natural law? Are they walking the walk? Are they not just saying things, but are they doing it? And if that's so, why can't that be enough to just be friends with them?
Why do they have to believe exactly the way you do? No one's ever going to believe exactly the way you do.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just when you take a look at it and you step back and look at it, it's actually genius the way that they keep people bickering and fighting amongst themselves. And while that's going on, the they and the them that we're talking about, they're the only ones who benefit from all this division, not the people that are doing it, not even the people that win or whatever the fights. It's like, oh, I won this debate or I lost this debate, whatever.
What does that mean?
Everybody loses at the end of the day. And not that I'm criticizing what's going on or whatever. I understand when people have to go separate ways because of their beliefs and they're stuck and it's going to be dangerous to them. But what I mean is, if those people took a step back and said the same things, like, can't we just be 90s friends? Let's do it, man. We're all, it's like, are you against the experimental medical serum? Yes, check. Like, are you against this? Yeah, we're all against all these things, abortion or whatever, all these, like silly things like global warming and all this stuff, right? But you don't say the magic words. It's like, fuck, that's the one thing. And that's why I feel like, this is the funny thing too. We're taught all this in school. United we stand, divided we fall. How many times have we heard? They put it on the dollar bill, didn't they? I think they did, or I know they put in God We Trust. So all these ideas are out there, but people just know them as words. They don't really know what the true meaning of that is until they I guess learn for themselves, really. So
Yeah.
another psyop we wanted to talk about, and this is an idea I kind of had. I mean, maybe I'm a little crazy, but right now it seems that everybody, like in the mainstream, the focus is aliens, right? Like, oh, we're gonna have an invasion, and then all the truthers or the people on the conspiracy side or whatever will say, they'll talk about Project Bluebeam and how the government has this plan that they're gonna use, what do you call them, like projections or whatever, holograms or holographs or whatever, and they're gonna like fake this alien invasion and all this stuff. But I was thinking about this the other day. There's always, because it always seems that truthers kind of get it right and then they have part of it wrong. Well, what if the Project Bluebeam is another thing we were talking about a minute ago with 7-Eleven? It's just a way to get something into the consciousness, and then the realm will provide it somehow. So somehow maybe we might experience some kind of what looks like an alien invasion, but it won't be projections and stuff. It might be something from another realm, or I don't know how it works, but people, because they believe it enough, they're actually going to bring it into manifestation. And there's not going to be like the government on the side shooting like these holograms and stuff trying to trick people, but it'll actually look like some kind of crazy alien thing, or even UFOs in general. Maybe a lot of these UFOs that we're seeing are just brought into the collective consciousness because enough people believe it. Maybe there's a tipping point where you can get enough people to believe something, and then it just appears in the realm somehow. What do you think about that, Joe? Come on, you're a resident expert.
That reminds me of the law of one, like the in the law of one, the entity that calls itself Ra is a collective consciousness that came to be channeled through some people. We've talked about it before, but anyway, it just, I think I lost my train of thought. They can't like tell you something that's going to interfere with your free will. So if it's not already in your consciousness, they're not going to bring it about. Like they're not going to show you a UFO. Like if you've never even necessarily heard of UFOs or something like that, maybe. But if you're open to the idea maybe of that, or if it's already in the collective consciousness of the realm that this is a thing, then they might be able to come in that sort of way to be channeled again or something like that. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I think what you said about free will, you hit the nail on the head, because the ultimate act of free will would be to get people to manifest it on their own.
Yeah.
To not actually have like a fake alien invasion and say it's real, but to just somehow it happens. Joe just said Matt had one of the most plausible theories recently, pulling out all this stupid shit and the running the world a certain way so some AI can learn the cause and effect. And that would kind of line up with the realm. Like if you just take the realm itself as the AI, and it's just responds to what people put into it. And if everybody's putting into it this alien invasion, then maybe it'll happen. I mean, it's crazy. It is true. I don't know, but that makes sense on a level to me. Thanks, Joe. Shout out also to who just came into the Slick Dissident. What's up, buddy?
Yeah,
What's up,
Slick Dissident.
We got a show coming out with him next week, so look for that. Marky Rizzo, what's going on? I apologize if I missed you, but I think I got everybody else that's over there talking. I love this idea. Suggestion gestates manifestation faux show. Slick Dissident. Oh yeah. Yeah, Matt from Quantum Conscious Robo.
Yeah,
That's who
I think that's who he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so so anyway, I just wanted to say that because you heard it here first. So when it happens, and if that ends up being the case, we nailed it.
We're always ahead of the game.
Yeah, kidding. we're always on the listen. If you listen to the Over Sharon show, you heard it first. We're gonna tell you exactly what's going on. We got our pokers in a bunch of different fires. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Something that I've been hearing from multiple people is that there's this energy right now that feels very heavy in the last month or so. And people are noticing that it's bringing conflict in certain places. And so, it's not to condone people who are arguing with each other right now or having disputes, but that definitely is probably affecting people right now. And it's affecting, I think it's affecting a lot of people.
Yeah, that that's an understatement. I mean, look at my cats, right? It's a perfect example, as above,
Yeah.
so below.
Like they never do that.
Yeah, they're
We've
11 now.
done
They've been
shows
together.
all the time and they never do that.
Yeah, they've been together. They're 11 now. They've been together for that whole time pretty much, and now they just decided that every once in a while, they don't do it all the time. They still get along, but once in a while, Snickers gets all fired up and acts like a victim. And she starts, leave me alone. And of course, Thumper thinks they're playing and just wants to engage further. It's really funny. It's funny how these little microcosms work out, and you use the as above, so below, and you could kind of just see it everywhere working out. And I think also what's going on right now, because there's the pendulum swing is in swinging back the other way. I think people with a lot of wounds and a lot of unaddressed issues that aren't listening to us on the Oversharing show, and when we say know thyself and all these things that we tell people to do, so it's their fault for not watching our show. We got to condemn them to hell. Listen, if you don't watch the Oversharing show, you're going to hell, allegedly.
If there is such a place.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it could be great, right? But yeah, I think that's what happens in times like this. It's very uncertain what's going on, especially after the last nonsense we've had for 2 years. And now we're kind of in this limbo waiting for the next thing, because, especially in 2020, the beginning of 2020, we had this supposed war we were going to start with Iran. Like, everyone forgets about it. That's what brought us into 2020. We're going to war with Iran. There's all this stuff. And then I think like Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter accident and some other crazy stuff. And then the corona. And then there was George Floyd, and there was just all these. Then you get like Bitcoin and all these psyops one after the other. And then you had the elections, and all this stuff. And it's been going on. Then it was all about the experimental medical serum. Are you going to do that or are you not? So right now there's really nothing going on. So there's like this limbo. So a lot of people are partying it up in cities and having a good time and getting back to their normal lives. And other people that saw what happened, some of them or some of us were just like, what's going to happen next? What, like, it's a train, it's this, it's that, and I feel like that state of mind, that anxiety causes this division as well, especially when, like I said, you have these wounds that we all have. I mean, I'm sure we all have blind spots, but when you have these blind spots about things and you prioritize qualities in people, and then you get mad because they don't do this like you like it and they do it this way, and then these simple little arguments or these even little disagreements turn into these big things. And I feel like it's kind of programmed into those belief systems, because you have this, like, I'll give an example, right? When I was an anarcho-capitalist, I used to hate the government, and I thought that if you just didn't have government, it'd be fine. Everybody would kind of just work it out and live the way they're supposed to. And you have all these arguments for every time somebody brings up something. Well, what about the police, or what about the mail? And you're like, oh, you just make it private, or this or that. So you have these ready-made answers for everything, and it makes perfect logical sense. It's, like, you can argue it all day and you can win all these debates, but in action, if you put it into action and say we got rid of the government tomorrow, it'd be a fucking shit show. And again, I'm not a fan of the government. I'm just saying that I think there's a lot of people that depend on them and need them right now. And until those people work it out and realize they could be sufficient or whatever it is, and they could work it out to a point where they don't have to rely on the government to take care of everything for them, then maybe people could get closer to that society. But I still think that the way this realm works, I don't think it ever really is going to be perfect. I don't think there is a way to save the world and have this beautiful golden age. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe certain things happen, and then it comes into be, but I don't think we're here to focus on that. I think we're really here to focus on ourselves and work on ourselves. And as we do that and raise our own consciousness, then it kind of brings people around us up. as we get out of this and people see us as we become an example, like, oh, Brandon and Sharon, they're not bickering about sides about this or that. Look at them. They're just having a good time trying to break their cats up from fighting, they're just over there killing it. And then we become that example for other people. And I think that's the true way. And again, like I said in the beginning, you could be like, oh, well, you're a hypocrite because you said there is no way for everybody, right? That's our way. That's what we found. And it seems to work pretty well
What?
because
That there's everybody has their own path to, or what were you saying?
what I'm saying is, so what I meant was, because the way I was explaining it, like what we do is we just try to be the example. We try to raise our consciousness and everybody should do it. Well, then aren't you saying there's one way for everybody? Was what people could say if I had said that. But I would say maybe it isn't everybody's path to do it. Maybe they have to learn or whatever. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, that's the best way. If you do want to change the world or make your surroundings better, the people better around you, it's like fix yourself first, make yourself better, be the example, right?
And that is unique to every person. That's
Yeah,
not.
that's what's unique. How you get there is what's unique, right?
Mhm.
Whatever talisman you have to use, if you got a crystal skull with a raven on it, and you got some tarot cards, or you got a Bible, or you got a crucifix, or whatever it is that you use, where you can take your belief and focus it into that talisman, we can call it, like a tarot deck or whatever these tools are, in a positive way where you're still living in accordance with the golden rule. That's kind of the way I think is what I found so far, right? And that's what the show's about. We talk about all these different things as we find them, as the things come up,
Yeah. Earlier you were saying something about like raising people to something, like putting people on a pedestal thing. It made me think of that. And these divisions, these fights, these angry back and forths between people happen because of those kinds of things. And you put someone on a pedestal, then they fall off, and then you're mad, and then it's like, it's just pointing it out that maybe you shouldn't put people on a pedestal.
Yeah, that pit and pedestal concept is like really genius, right? If someone's on a pedestal, and somebody else has to be on a pit. And what that means is there's some person you're worshiping, and then there's some person you're demonizing, right? And you kind of align all your behavior. And that brings us to how a lot of this division happens. And Sharon and I were talking about the internet. Like, I think people don't understand what the internet has done to society and what it's done to just simple human interactions. Because if you're back here behind a keyboard, you could say whatever you want really with no repercussions. I mean, maybe if you tweet something, like you could get in big trouble like they used to, but you can like interact with people and say things to them that you would never say to their face. Right. And that it's on its own is unnatural, because the way we're designed is to, talk to people face to face. You see, and what a lot of people don't understand, a lot of communication is actually body language. There's like a lot of different micro expressions that people make, or different movements of their body and all this stuff. And I love this because of the Dune series, which I really highly recommend for people. They talk about this a lot because you get a lot of the internal dialogue of the characters, and some of the characters are really like advanced. And when they're talking to people, they could tell just by like certain pheromones that are released if there's fear, or if somebody's lying, or just like the way they're acting and the way that they're talking. But when you're online, you don't have any of that stuff. So you could just make up this whole alter.
Scenario in your
Yeah, and
head.
you can make a whole other like identity that you get behind. And I think South Park did a really good job with this. They did a show about internet trolls, and I think it was Randy, who's Kyle's dad. I think it was, no, Randy Stan's dad. I think it was Kyle's dad, though, that was this internet troll. And he would just go around and troll people at night. He would just like get on, and they showed this thing where he's like working out his fingers, and he'd just get on and talk all this shit, right? And I think that's what happens. And people don't realize it. And I'm not saying that the internet is a bad thing, obviously. I mean, we wouldn't have the show. But I think it's very important to be conscious of that. And every time you talk to somebody or send a letter or send even a comment, or you comment in a chat or something like that, it's really good to be mindful of that. It's like, would I say this if I was right next to this person? Is this something I would say to them? And if it's not, then you're kind of lying to yourself at the end of the day. It's this false persona that you made up, that you're this badass. And I think what that does is, I mean, there's a bunch of things it does, but one of them is it keeps people from working on themselves, because they don't have to work on themselves because they have this awesome internet persona that they could just stand behind, and then that's who they are. But then in real life, that's really not who they are. So I think that that's one thing that really people need to realize. I mean, some people know
Yeah.
are onto it and stuff. It's not like we're the first ones talking about it on the Oversharing show, but I think it really gets kind of discounted. People hear it and they're just like, yeah, whatever, that's kind of true, but I'm still gonna tell this person to fuck
Yeah.
off, like.
And another thing that I've noticed myself do, because over time, um, I've had to, I mean, I tend to be a diplomatic person anyway, but it probably started when I used to have interactions at work and I'd have to email people and I'd have to like slow down, like read the email and then maybe write some stuff down and wait, come back, read it again, and do that for some time before I replied. And until I find that I'm doing it, let's just say for lack of better words, but like doing it in love, like without trying to be mean or jabbing at them or poking at them or trying to get a reaction out of them, saying things to them in a very clear but neutral way that wasn't going to upset them, I can feel comfortable sending the message. Because it's really like, it's very tempting to just like reply right away and just spew anything that's in your head, like as it just comes out. And that's, I mean, in person, you wouldn't do that either. You would probably mind what you're about to say to somebody, and you wouldn't just spew out something rude or mean or cruel, especially if they're standing right next to you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the simple thing is, especially with men, you could get punched in the face, like, I mean, I grew up, back in my day, and Joe just said this in the chat. He's like, I miss a world without smartphones, back in my day, like, you had to be careful what you said to somebody because they could just punch you right in the face. You know what I mean? There was no really way you could call them on the phone is all we had, maybe call people and talk shit to them. I think that was probably even the first step, when you're just on the phone, you could be kind of a different person. But I mean, when you're
Yeah.
right in somebody, that's the thing. You can't just talk shit. Or if you do, you got to back it up. It's a whole
Yeah.
different thing. And not that it was perfect back then. People still got into stupid fights all the time about shit. But now it seems that it just gets escalated a lot easier. And there's a lot of different, like, people. Another thing I've noticed with this division is people misunderstand a lot of things that happen. Certain things happen, if you get two people that are on two like content creators, right? And there's a fight going on between them. A lot of times they don't watch each other stream at that point. They're
No.
just relying on what they're told. So you get a lot of he said, she said, and then they react to what somebody told them, but it wasn't true. And then their reaction elicits another reaction from that person. And then it just becomes this big, like, Gordian knot.
Yeah. Robo Honky just said, don't react. Or he said, act, don't react.
Yeah, 100%. Dropping the show. Oh, what's up, family fun guy? What's going on? Dropping the show to show support. Thanks, y'all. Thank you. Thank you for coming in and saying what's up. I love your products, and I can't wait for you to get some coffee with mushrooms back in because I'm gonna order the shit out of it. I already like promised it to like a couple of people I know, so look for that order, buddy. Yeah, exactly. Oh, our chat is like killing it right now. This is awesome. You guys are the best. Let me tell you. Don't change. Got chat people in the chat. Don't ever change. I mean, work on yourself. Yeah. Oh, Paraplegic Bear. Never
20
mind. Some people in the chat now need to change. No, I'm just kidding.
22 people in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Ooh, 22.
Yeah.
And Paraplegic, I need to hit you up. Speaking of coffee, I need to get some coffee from you too. I'm running low, so I will hit you up or text me, or we'll figure something out. But Ben, we just had Ben Balderson on, and he was singing praises of your coffee. So, and I've had it before. I love it too, but it
He
reminded me.
doesn't drink it, but his family does.
Yeah, he can't because of the seizures, but everybody in his family loves it.
Yeah.
It puts him on a risk factor, which I get. You don't want to be messing around when it comes to seizures. Fuck that.
I'm laughing at Paraplegic's comment.
Oh, why? What did he say?
Read it.
What the fuck? I can throw lion's mane and penis envy into my coffee. Yeah, but you don't. See, you could. Don't make me come over there, paraplegic. No, I think we can mix it all up. That's the best part. I have 10 grams of penis envy left if you need some. Nice.
Nice.
Allegedly, everybody, because that's probably not, this is YouTube. They don't know.
I might allegedly have some on hand.
Ooh. This is entertainment show, everybody. We say things because we're joking. Ha 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 ha. BB equals 22. Somebody just put in the chat, or 22 equals BB. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, B, that's me. Brandon Bonanza. There you go. The original BB. I'm older. No,
there's lots of BBs.
Yeah, exactly.
BB guns.
Yeah, getting shot with BBs.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Reason for all this happening. I'm over there in the notes. We have some notes. We come organized, everybody, even though we start late. Because I get stuck at the gas station for 25. It's like I was the old people are coming and going, getting gas just fine, but my card's like stuck in the machine. I'm like, dude, what are you gonna do? So I should just paid cash from the start, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, all the stuff that we're talking about right now is probably a total recap for the people who listen to our show. But yeah, it's kind of just for any new listeners, this is kind of the stuff we talk about pretty regularly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was thinking that, like earlier, I was talking about how there's like this energy going on right now, and people might be like, oh, so and so, these two people are bickering and fighting right now, and this is, I'm on one side or the other or whatever. But like, what if this is just a time for, like, it's kind of like some of the cards we talk about in the tarot, like when you have to fall to get back up, or like a phoenix rising out of its ashes, but it's like a time for some level of burning down to rise back up. And it could be like a cleansing experience. Like, people cleanse physically, they detox, they get sick, right? But what if this is like a spiritual cleansing going on right now for people in this community who are experiencing a lot of this like conflict going on? It's just my thoughts.
Yeah,
healing crisis.
You're like 100% right. Yeah, go ahead if you still have more, but I agree.
Yeah, totally. like a purging of old ideas. What is that? Like, that is that the death card or the tower card?
It's kind of both,
Yeah.
It really is. Death is I think the differences would be the tower is more one where you think you got everything's great and you're like, yeah, I'm killing it, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, like you're at the top of that tower, you have the king, the crown on, the king, the queen, and then this act of God, it shows like a lightning bolt coming through, which you could look at as like natural law, and it just destroys everything and brings it back down. It knocks you down a peg or two. And I could say that if you are confused or angry or whatever, what's going on with these different divisions, I think it would be a good time. My advice would be, and we hate to give advice, but what I'll do is I just kind of look inside and see, why do I hate the other person on the other side of this conflict? If I'm on the other side, like, what is it about me that I hate them? Why can't I accept them just as a person who's stumbling maybe, and they're going to figure it out eventually, And I think that would be the way for me to look at it, as a person who's a viewer, right? But the people that are involved, the ones that are the actual content creators themselves, you know, they got to do what they got to do, make it funny or
They
whatever.
they
But
gotta do it till they're done.
yeah,
Could it
yeah, that
be?
too. But
Right?
it's
Like whatever, if it's a spiraling down or if it's like a falling down or a burning down, whatever it is, that's what's meant to be happening right now for them to come out of this better. Could it be?
yeah, 100%. And Slick Dissident said tower collapsed mixed with Exodus. Yes.
I like that.
Exactly.
Kind of like the what is it called? The Christian people call it like the what is it called when they think everybody's gonna rise out of the skies?
Rapture.
That the rapture, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Uh,
rapture slash Exodus.
yeah, exactly. Flocal of the Unbearables, welcome. He says, agreed, agreed. I think Topher said something about the cleansing time we are in when he was on with Owen recently. Yes. I
Oh,
haven't caught that
I
stream yet,
haven't
but
caught that one yet.
yeah,
I
I
was
watched
planning on listening in that one.
the one because I've been pretty much following this closely just because I don't have a life and I kind of want to see what's going on both sides. So I've been watching both sides of it. And I think that's also another thing I'll recommend if you find yourself torn between these or you hate the other side, just watch the other side, honestly, you know, with an open eye and hear what's being said and see what you think for yourself, you know, because when you just get one side, like we were saying with the he said, he said stuff, the
They're not
content
hearing
creators
each other's
themselves,
sides.
they're not hearing exactly either. So you're just hearing what they're hearing. But if you go listen to the other side, then, and again, it's not like I get it where a lot of these people don't have time. If you're a content creator like this, you don't have time to go look at the other side and all that stuff. So it's not like we're singling out the content creators themselves. We're talking about as fans of people, you know, what you can do and how you could kind of get through this. Because I think if you look at both sides, you'll be able to make a clearer distinction. Because I definitely, you know, we say we're Libras, we don't pick sides, but I could see the sides that I choose that I agree with over the ones that I don't, but it's only because I watch both sides, you know, and it's and I see what the behavior is and I'm like, oh, okay, I could see this person is kind of maybe fooling themselves or lying to themselves in this way or just confused. I mean, you know, this realm is crazy. We go through a lot of shit, especially when we're kids and we don't realize it. And later it really affects us. I mean, a whole bunch. And sometimes people die and never having addressed that. And it's really magical that people like us, especially people that watch this show, we can address that stuff and we can work on it. And we could find ways that even if we disagree with people, that we could stick together when it comes to the important things. You know, if somebody's eating babies, you know, you don't have to stick with them, but if they're living like in accordance with the natural law and golden rule and all that stuff, you know, I think
Right.
yeah.
And then the thing is like you can choose to be friends with the people you want to choose to be friends with based on their character. But if you find that their character is lacking in a way that you dislike, maybe you think that they're not living according to the golden rule because of XYZ, well, then you don't have to associate with that person. You can step away and, you know, back off. You know, no one's forcing anybody to be friends with anybody. But it makes me think of like loving others, like Jesus said, you know. And I feel like this, could it be that this is a time right now that we're going through? It's a lesson for us to be like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to use this to learn to love others? You know, use this experience as a lesson to learn others. Love your enemies, Jesus said, you know, despite our differences. Jesus said, love God, love people. You know, I don't like pointing fingers and like hating people or getting angry people. Is like, I get it. You want to pick a side sometimes, like you want to be polarized. You want to be, you know, someone. I was feeling this energy because like someone would tell me something about one side and be like, oh, well, they said this, that, and the other. And can you believe they did this? How dare they? And then you're kind of like, oh, shoot, really? That's messed up. You want to be on that side. And then someone else tells you something else on the other side, like, but can you believe that so-and-so did this, that, and the other? And then you're like, no, and you want to be on that side. But then you're just like, no, I can't, because it's like, you know, and it's like going back to like, let's say you have children, like you have 2 children, are you going to pick one side of your child? Like, you can't do that. You can't pick a side. You just got to let people work out their differences and love them for who they are. Maybe step back if you need to, but it's definitely, I feel like it's a lesson for people right now to learn to love and respect other people.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I have to I just had a text come through from my dad I have to respond to because I
Oh,
guess my
shoot.
mom fell off stairs, but she's all right.
No.
Yeah, I just said keep me posted. I'll run over there if they need me. I'm recording.
Okay.
Do. Yeah, I'm telling. See, she can't even get along with the sidewalk. It's snow here, so
She's upstairs?
no, they're at my brother's house, which is
Oh, catty
diagonal
corner.
over there.
Yeah.
So I just was like, "Do you need me to run over there right now?" And he's like, "No, no." He just wanted to tell me what happened.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Well, I'm
So
sorry to hear that.
yeah, she just actually had her hip replaced like about a week and a half ago. So she's been doing really well. Hopefully it wasn't that bad. But he said it's not too bad, so we'll see. And then all of a sudden it's like, where were you when I fell? I was on YouTube. See what I do for you guys? I sacrificed my life here. No. But yeah, no, you're totally right though. Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Like, everyone
Go ahead.
right now, like, okay, everyone at all times, right? Just like we've talked about this before, maybe in a really older stream, but like everyone is doing what they think is best for themselves. So despite, anything going, it's like, just look at other people and recognize they're just doing their best. They're just doing the best that they think is the best for themselves. So
Yeah,
wouldn't you
exactly.
do the best for your own self? Yeah, you would try to do the best for yourself. Now, some people may be going through something and they're just not thinking right. They're upset. Something's getting to them. And so whatever that's going through their minds, they're just doing the best they can at that moment. And, we're all human. It's just like, don't pedestalize people because they will fall down. They will come down from that pedestal eventually. People are just human, for lack of a better word.
Human?
Yeah. I don't
How
like the
dare you,
word, but
Sharon?
I know. I don't like it
No,
either, but
I know what you're saying.
we're
And
living men and women. Okay.
another way to look at it too is that a lot of people, they don't even realize why they're doing what they're doing. They're basically like on autopilot in some of the things they do. Like I know sometimes somebody will be like, why'd you do that? And then I'll kind of reverse engineer a reason why I did something. I'm like, oh, this is why I did it because of this and that, So if you're mad at somebody, and it goes to really not taking things personally when somebody says something or does something against you like that, it's like they're probably don't even realize what they're doing. They're just doing things, and like you said, they're trying to do their best. And what we had talked about before is was I just kind of lost my train of thought again with not taking things personally. Oh yeah. So if somebody says or does something to you, they might be, this is what we talked about before. So people vibrate on certain levels. And this is when we talked about like demons and angels and what they could be in certain things. What happens, it's kind of like people are puppeted, right? At the vibration that they're at, they're kind of just plugged in. And so they're just reacting in that way. They're kind of going on like automatons, and they're doing stuff that you might not totally agree with, but the reason isn't because they hate you or they want to destroy you or bring you down. It's because of what's has happened to them. They're basically running off of what happened to them in the past. And until people stop and realize that consciously, they're not able to fix that aspect of themselves or work on it. They just have these blind spots that they don't realize. And I think a lot of people really operate from that. They just kind of are going along with the thing until something happens. So that's just like I said, it's a good way to not take things personally. Again, if somebody comes at you and you got to like defend yourself, that's a whole different thing, right? I know I keep saying that, but I'm gonna have that like on my grave when I die. It's like Brandon said, you could still use self-defense, just don't rage squirt. Like But yeah, I don't know. I just like to repeat that over. It's something people need to hear. But anyway, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Um, I was just gonna say, like, I was recently hearing a stream with Topher. It was Topher's, I think it was his 10th episode, but I'm still not even done with it, but it's really good. And he's talking about like how he was in the middle of a hurricane and also a tornado. So he's experienced both. He's like been in the eye of both of these things. And he said it's like the most peaceful, calm thing. And it's like when I heard that, this was just like a day or two ago that I heard this. And it really like touched me and sat with me, because I feel like what's going on around us right now feels like a storm, because it's affecting a lot of people. And this, like, whatever this energy is, right? And I feel like I just thought to myself, like, just be in that eye of the storm, just be the eye of the storm and let this storm rage on around you, but just be in that peace and that calm. Like, you don't have to let those things get you down or get you angry. I get it. Like, it really can trigger. And I've been very tempted to be triggered and tempted to get upset about all of it. But I've had to like step back and calm myself down. So,
Yeah. And another thing you can learn from that too is when the storm happens, because I've been in a situation where, I mean, it was like 1985. I was like 9 or 10. And hurricane, what was the name of the hurricane that came over here? Gloria came up to Connecticut, knocked out power for like 2 weeks or something. It was crazy. And everybody had candles and all this stuff, but everybody was so supportive of each other because there was this external threat to them that happened, right? So people forgot about their little petty squabbles and all this stuff, and they came together. And that's what I see happen over and over again. Like, look at Katrina. I mean, there's some crazy stuff that happened to Katrina, but a lot of people got together to help each other. There was that other one that happened in like 2016, I think, down there, and they had this organization called, oh, what was the name of it? Um they were even raising money on like GoFundMe and all this stuff. It was the something Navy, I forget what it was, but it was just everybody that had boats was going around, and they were just like organizing, and they were helping people out, and they're like getting people out of their houses and all this stuff. And that's what happens. And that's what I saw happen in this community during all these crazy times. But now it's like a lull, right? It's like, oh, that's over. It's done with. And now we're just back to like, like, oh,
yeah. There's
so
also this feeling, and I'm totally, I
Cajun
don't,
Navy. That's what it is. Thank you, Robo Honky. The Cajun Navy. Sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
okay. I haven't fully thought my thoughts out yet on this topic. I didn't even tell Brandon this, but I was thinking about this. Yeah, here we go. So like, I don't know how it's going to come out, but let me see if I can say what I'm trying to say. So I know the feeling, right? Because of course we're experiencing it right now, and I've experienced it when I used to go to different churches and stuff like that. And it's like, when something happens in a community that you're in, and the person who is either the person or people that are in that like higher level of like, whether they're pastors or deacons or whatever, and something bad happens with one of those people and it's like a negative thing, it affects the whole community, the whole church or whatever it is. And if you are feeling some kind of way about it, like, oh no, like, I'm going to be associated with that now because this looks bad on everybody underneath. I know how that feels, and it's uncomfortable. But the thing is, that you cannot, I mean, speaking for myself. Like, you cannot take that and make it like everybody's like this because of that person. Like, not everybody is going to be in that community is going to be like that person who made a mistake or who's doing something that you disapprove of. Like, you don't have to feel that you're necessarily going to be looked down upon just because you're part of this community that is right now experiencing some difficulty. I don't know if I'm expressing that correctly. Brandon, can you say something? I don't know. What am I
No,
saying?
I think I know you're saying that, and that's exactly what happens. I'm just pulling up the devil card so we can look at that before we go.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's totally true. And that's the one issue also about being associated with different communities and stuff, is because you're kind of a representation of that. You know, like when I was in the Marine Corps, for example, I was in during the 90s. It was before everybody was thanking everybody for their service, you know, and up here people were cool, like in Connecticut. But when I was down in North Carolina, where there's like tons of Marines, everybody was just like, oh fuck, another Marine, here we go, you know, like. And there was this, some of the places you would go to, there was even like certain dance clubs and stuff, they wouldn't allow military people in. You had to have, like, they were just letting college people in and all this stuff. So it was the same kind of thing. You get associated with that. But then once people met me, they're like, oh, you're cool though. But like, yeah, but you're cool, you can come in, you know, like, you're not one of them. But I'm like, yeah, but I am, you know. That's what you don't understand. And I think that is one of the issues that we find. And then when two different communities go at each other because the people that are on top, like the content creators, are fighting, people on the other side will think that, oh, you must think you're just like this guy and you like everything him, so I'm just going to throw it all away. And that's kind of what I don't like to see. Go ahead.
Or you might be in that community and you might be like, I'm going to run away from all of this because I'm going to be associated with it. And I mean, fine, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But like, I think you don't have to feel that way, because like for me, for example, I met a lot of my close friends. I met Cody through the community. So like, I'm not just, I can't necessarily just like fear that something is going to, I don't know, someone's going to associate me with that. So, oh my God, God forbid. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I met people through this community. I'm friends with people in this community. So I'm not going to let whatever division is going on affect that. I still love these people. I still love people that like both sides, you know? I have friends on both sides.
Yeah, it's like the Civil War, brother against brother, right? And who's the one who benefits from this? It's the people that we call our enemies or whatever, right? The people at the top or whatever, the ones that are trying to impose all these silly things on people. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Definitely. I don't know. Are we almost near the end, do you think?
I think so. Do you want to pull up the card that we want to talk about?
Yeah. First, before we do that, let's pull up the card and then we could talk about what else we have to talk about. Let's see here. So I'm going to get on the card and share my screen. Here we go. I don't need sound. All right, so here is the lovely devil card. And the reason why I wanted to use this for this episode is because when you first look at this card, it looks like there's this devil right in the middle, and he has these two people chained, right? And they're his slaves, and they have to do what he wants them to do. And they're like, there's nothing we can do. But when you really break this card down, and I've actually drawn this card before, I did some art, so I think that's a really good way to get into whenever you want to look at a tarot card, is to actually try to recreate it in some way. And you pick up all the stuff that you didn't before. And if you look really closely at the chains on their neck, they're very loose. Like, he could slip that chain over his head and get the hell out of here, right? But the way he's gesturing, look at his hand. He's kind of like, well, what can I do? I got this devil behind me, I got to do what he says. But if you look at it closer, the devil has this torch, but he's lighting the torch off of this guy's tail, which is the fire. So he's actually secretly behind the scenes feeding the devil off the energy. Exactly. And it kind of reminds me of like a victim narrative status, where say this devil could represent, somebody's either addiction or terrible behavior or whatever, and they're just like, what am I gonna do? Look, I'm addicted to fucking meth. There's nothing I could do. Look, I'm stuck in this situation. I'm a victim. Where I think that victim consciousness is really the key to all this. Or if you're looking at yourself like a victim, then someone's going to come along and be your master. If you're acting like a slave, someone's going to come along and chain you up, because maybe you're dangerous if you're not chained up by an addiction or by somebody else who's a master. Even if they're treating you terribly and they have you chained to this thing naked with a flame, with a tail of fire, whatever the situation is, right? It really comes down to this guy's own decisions. He's the one, I think, that's propping up this devil and creating it. And the same thing, you get the masculine and feminine on both sides. So it's like a mixture. And this is where, when people are arguing, that's what's going on. So if you think about this, like this lady and this man, they could be having a dispute among themselves, but they're still chained to this, whatever it is, this terrible thing that they don't want to talk about, or that they're blaming for all their problems. They're chained to it, when they could just let these chains go, and they could go along and, I don't know, have a better life or whatever. So
yeah, Joe in the chat said, if you lift it, like if you lift those chains off, you're free. But if you run, it gets tighter.
Ooh, he's so smart, that guy. I tell you what. Guys, go back and check out our episodes. I know one of them is episode 33, because I can never forget that. Yeah. He spits the hot fire, as they say.
Yeah.
As the kids say. That's a terrible picture. No good can come from devilish pictures, Paraplegic said. How dare you, Paraplegic? Yeah. So in one of the last things we wanted to talk about, and we always save the best for last. So we, as everybody that watches the show knows, we had Grounded Extracts on, and he was talking about a lot of his experiences with Bertaria at times, and we had some people from Bertaria reach out to us and express their side of the story. And the stories, the other thing I want to say is Camera Bear. Shout out to Camera Bear, because I know him in real life, and I'm friends with him, and we've hung out at meetups before, and he's a really good guy, from what I've seen. So I'm not sure exactly what happened with this whole situation, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel bad that I didn't say anything in the moment when James was telling the whole story. I didn't kind of say, oh, I know that guy and he's a good dude. I was kind of just in the moment.
We let people overshare, and sometimes we let people interrupt people.
Yeah. And actually, I think I was gonna say something, but then I got sidetracked, which always usually happens to me. But after the show and all that stuff, it kind of bothered me that I didn't say that, he's a good dude and I really love his family. Like, I hung out with him and all this stuff. And, the stuff that happened to James, it really sucks. We don't really know the whole story. Bertaria, those guys are saying that they gave him a chance and they told him how to edit the article and that stuff, and then he didn't get back to them. James is saying he did, and then he got back to him, but then they didn't reply. The way we feel about it is, we don't, like, again, we're Libras, right? We don't pick sides. We see that there's really good people on both sides of this, and we don't want to fuel that fire. And it's nothing against James or Camera Bear or Bertari at times or any of that stuff, but we feel like maybe there's like they say, there's always two sides to every story, right? So maybe there's a third side that we're not exactly. And the other thing too is, we hear all this stuff about memories and about things that happen and about people that tell stories. And, Joe who's in the chat, can attest to this, because allegedly he was studying to be a police officer in his last life, years ago or whatever it was, where eyewitness testimony is not even really considered that high of evidence or proof, because memories can get tainted and certain things happen. And,
look at the Mandela effect.
Maybe it was a Mandela. Sharon, you're a genius. This was a Mandela. That's exactly what happened. It was a Mandela. I don't know. I only really know how to maybe it's a blind spot that I have, but I really confront things with humor, right? That's my, you can't take it seriously, Brandon, can you? Damn it. As they're execute, like I always say, if they burn me at this, even if I ever got burned alive at the stake, I'd be like lighting my cigarette off the flames, like, all right, I guess we're fucking doing this again. Great. Yeah. So anyway, we just wanted to talk about that because I feel like I don't think it's worth further division for people, like we said, we've met a lot of really good people through Baritari Times, these meetups. Everyone I've been to has been really fun. I do a lot of my own meetups, and I don't want to discourage people from that. But then again, I also obviously could see James's side, because James is somebody who has this, he has this amazing business, and he does a lot of things with some of these things have question marks. And some people, like going back to the beginning when we talked about the war on drugs, right? That's exactly it. Other people have their own way that they view things, and to them it's not above board or whatever, so maybe that plays into it. I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff with, even in the beginning when I joined Bertaria, because I put on my thing about tarot, I got some flack for it. People were kind of like asking me about it and saying all this stuff. So I get it, that because I was raised to believe that the tarot was evil, right? Like Sharon was the same way. And that's why when Crow started talking about it, Sharon was like, wait a minute. And then that's when we met and we started talking about it. And I explained to her that, the tarot with all this symbolism, it's just a tool, right? It could be used like a hammer. You could build a house, or you could smash in somebody's face with it. It's the same thing. And I feel like people are really starting to realize that, especially in the bear community, because I've been following Owen since about 2016, and I was really on and off with him because at the time I was studying a lot of this different stuff like astrotheology and like about religion and how it divides, and Owen was really into Christianity at the time. So some of the stuff was off-putting to me, but he was always funny. So anytime I needed a laugh, I check in like every couple months or whatever. But then when 2020 happened, you see a theme here? Something big happened. There was this exterior threat. So I just started watching him like every day. I was like, oh, this is great, right? And then now it seems like that stuff's receding. So could it be that a lot of people are just without this exterior threat, they're just how can I say that? Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes I say things they're in my brain and they sound really well. And then when it comes out to words, it sounds like offensive or whatever. But
the voids,
could it be that without this external threat, people are just focusing on other things, especially with the way the energy is going on right now? So, that's our piece. It's not like we're not like an official sanctioned bear show. We're not like, like some shows you have like hanging with bears and different stuff. We're like our kind of our own thing. We have what is it, overshare nights? What do we call them? Slaves? Fans? We have people slaves. We have slaves who watch our show that are from all walks of life. Some don't even know who Owen Benjamin is or whatever. So we're a little more out there, which is great though. I like being on the fringe. I like being niche, but that's just something we wanted to say and address. And basically we're just saying that, you have to figure it out for yourself, really, like whatever side you're on of this. And then is it worth it to ostracize this person or that person because of the actions of one other person or whatever? But yeah, again, shout out to Cameron Bear. I texted him and stuff, and I'm like, not even a lot of people watch our show. I was like, I didn't even think anyone would see this. Like, not that I care, but I was just like, that's why I didn't even think about it. Like now I'm like, oh, more people are seeing it. I'm like, sorry, dude, I didn't mean to just let you get ripped. Maybe it is something he did, maybe it's not, but I'm just saying everything I've ever experienced, I've ever had with him, he seems like a pretty solid dude. So
yeah. And shout
James
out
too,
to James and Najla. Yeah, that was
James
a
and
great
Ozil
show
is
that
really
we had.
solid people too. So it's kind of, it sucks when shit like this happens, but what are you gonna do? People, it happens. But that's
people have disputes.
Yeah. And this is something we've been talking about since at least episode 11, and 1111 is division and all these different things. So for us, a lot of this episode was just kind
A
of
recap.
Yeah, recap and rehash, just to remind people. And it's something that we're not really seeing a lot of other people talk about. So we'll just keep hammering it. Maybe it'll be the oversharing thing is the division thing, so. But yeah, like you said, be the eye of the storm and let the storm rage on around you, and don't be a victim. I think that's the best thing we could tell people is
Huge
on either side of this, it's like, look at, sometimes you have a lot of positive things going on in your life, but you can only focus on that one negative. You know, I had my friend Rodney Norman on, he's like a famous comedian now. We used to do stand up and open mics together, and he was always hilarious. But then he became this, he has this character that he does. And it's just, I mean, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Just put in Rodney Norman and watch a
It's a
couple. It's
very
so funny.
silly,
He
very
just,
silly
he's
character.
really silly, but he speaks all this truth, right? And he's allowed to just like stick it in there. And he would talk about that. He talked about how, you know, like as comedians, when you're up there on stage, everyone could be laughing, but there's like one person that's not, and you always like just focus on that one person. Then you like try to make them laugh. But it's the same kind of thing. Sometimes you have a lot of positive things going on in your life and something negative's happening, and that's what really you're drawn to, you know. And to be conscious of that, it's great. It's just like oversharing. Like we could get all these great comments and then one negative one, and we could let it spiral, or we could allow ourselves to spiral because of it, or, you know, we could just kind of move on. So, you know,
Yeah.
and goes for everybody, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see what the chat's up to. And
Shout
I guess
out to the chat.
anybody
Family
have any
fun guy.
questions, comments, anything you want us to say? Rim job stuff is so funny. I wish him well. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good to wish him well. I think, you know, again, if you're just a follower of Jim Bob, because like I said, I watched that stuff, you could think Owen is hilarious or is like this terrible person. And then if you watch just Owen, you could think Jim Bob is this terrible person. But if you kind of watch both of them, you could see
The dynamic.
and what's going on. And not saying that you don't have to pick sides. I get it. If you want to pick sides and you rather not listen to one of these people now because of whatever reason, trust me, I totally get it. But I think for your own mental health, it's good to kind of check both out. And that's what I did with politics. You know, I did that with politics. I do that with everything, you know, Coke or Pepsi. I just don't drink soda. But you know, no matter what it is,
exactly.
you know, like I want a Ford, no, I want a Chevy. You know, it's like some people just buy Fords their whole life, and then some people like me get great deals on old Buicks. See that? I got, guys, just so you know, I drive a Buick. I got this
A
really good
grandma
deal.
Buick.
Yeah, I had this amazing Chevy Tahoe. It was a 2003 Tahoe. I drove all around the country with it last year, and then a couple months ago I got hit and they totaled it. And so I was looking for something to drive, like another Tahoe or Suburban or something. I couldn't find anything, but this good deal. Shout out to Joe, a different Joe, not this Joe, Giuseppe Joe.
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. I met him through Mark Passio, and he lives here in Connecticut. He actually works
We
with me
went
now.
hiking a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he was with us hiking too. Yeah, that was a really awesome hike.
Yeah.
But so his mother knew
With
this old
QSB
lady.
too.
Oh yeah, QSB was there. Zarelath was there. Ukrainian Bear was there. Danny, Cody was there. Shout out to Cody. Yeah, and that's the thing. We had such a great
We had
time.
10 people on the hike.
But I could tell you this. I know people that were there. I'm not going to name names. But people that I know, the ones that live in Connecticut that were there, not like you and Cody and stuff, but they have totally different ideas about their cosmology, right? Totally different. But everybody was there hiking, laughing, having a great time. I mean, Zarelath was there. He's a fucking Odinist pagan fucking retard, just like us or whatever, you know, like, and some people there were like Orthodox Christians, right?
Yeah.
And they had a great time together. So that's really what it is, because we were in person, right? It wasn't this silly nonsense. We were just having a good time.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was saying, so Joe got me this, his mom knew this old lady that was getting rid of a Buick. It's a 92 Buick. It only had like 68,000 miles. So I ended up picking it up, and I'm a BJ in a Buick now, guys, because my name is Brandon John. So
BJS.
it's so funny how this all works out, but I love it. That thing is, I already put like 3,000 miles on it in like 3 months. You know, I drive pretty hard, or not even 3 months, or maybe more. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So I drive a Buick. So if you see me, give me a wave. I'll be out there. EJ in a Buick.
Absolutely.
Paraplegic said it's hard to see people that loved Jim Bob a month ago hate him. Same way some people loved Owen, and he's a bad guy. Doesn't all the good stuff they did count for something? Yeah, no, I hear you. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Oh, I love it.
Amen to that one.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I get it. Again, it's not like you have to keep supporting and watching both people. If you one just makes more sense. Robo Honky says I drive an old Buick also, or I would. He said I drive an old. Yeah, I mean, they're fucking great cars. It only had
The front seat
68,000
is like a
miles.
couch.
Yeah, it's like driving a couch around. It's freaking crazy. The thing is awesome. And it really reminds me of being back in the 80s because I used to have, well, I didn't drive till like 92, but I had a 87 Monte Carlo SS and it has like almost the same dashboard and stuff. And it has like a cassette player. So I got one of those tape things you could put in and plug it in. So now I can listen to all my favorite podcasts while I'm driving through the cassette player. It's great.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I think that these times like this, it's not that it's bad or an evil time. It's just a time, like you said, to realize what's going on. Things are falling apart now, so they can come back better and stronger. And it's not about pointing fingers and saying the other guy's the bad man. It's about making yourself better, I think.
Yeah.
I miss old solid cars. Yeah, there's something about these cars. And the best part is it doesn't have an annoying seatbelt thing. So I mean, I usually wear my
Oh, so you
seatbelt
don't
anyway.
have to wear it if you don't want to.
But yeah, if I'm just going down the street, I sometimes a little light comes on, sometimes it doesn't, but it's great. There's no buzzing or dinging. I'm like, this is awesome. I could just drive around, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but yeah, it was sitting in a garage forever. Like that old lady's the only one who's ever driven it. She said that even her husband, she's like, even my husband never drove it. I wouldn't let him.
That's hilarious.
It's great. Now I have it on the highway doing like 80, going up there to try to like get all the crap out of it. Oh, it's been whatever. Oh yeah, I learned to drive in the 80s Oldsmobiles. Yeah, there you go. Oldsmobile. I mean, I wasn't 16 till 92, but I was totally driving before then. I was probably driving since I was 14 or maybe even younger.
My eldest sister was allegedly driving by the time she was 11.
Yeah.
She must have been a tall 11-year-old.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I was really tall too. My dad had a stick though. He had like a Ford Escort wagon that was a 5-speed. And he tried to teach me to drive, but we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, so it didn't go well. But I used to take my mom's car sometimes. So anyway, yeah, let's see. Anyone else we want to give shout out? But yeah, again, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I saw we had like 22
Totally.
people in the chat at one point.
Yeah, I think that was the highest amount we had. It was good. It's a good number, 22. My
Yeah,
mom's birthday and my sister's birthday,
Ooh.
222. And today I went to their birthday party and it was a nice time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we have 20 watchers. Yeah, today I had a great day too. I had some wonderful Reiki healing by my woman who I talked to about this before, but she's done Reiki for horses before and it's like really helped them. And she's also where she was working, there was a doctor and she helped the doctor with vertigo with the Reiki and then she helped the horses. And I'm like, why aren't you doing this as a business? I'm like, do you know how much stupid money is in the horse industry? Like people have so much money in the horse industry. They're just like throwing it at people. It's crazy.
Nice.
If you've ever been to a horse show, like everyone's got a brand new freaking truck. It's nuts. But yeah, so look for things on the horizon. If you have a horse and it needs Reiki, I got somebody for you. So hit me up.
I'm not a horse, but I want Reiki.
Yeah. I'm sure she can give you some distance Reiki. I was actually going to tell her to send you some, but it went so long and then I had to get here and then
That's okay. Totally okay.
Stuck at a gas station for 20 minutes. It worked out perfectly though,
Yeah.
I love it. My woman does Reiki, says Billingtano. Awesome. Yeah, Reiki's really cool. We did an episode with Michelle a few episodes back. Check that out. Was it 50, right? That we did with Michelle Albers and she does Reiki.
Must have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 50. So go check that out too. My birthday is 6/22. Oh, cool. Mine's 7/2. So aha, it's an amazing number. All right, well, if that's all we got, yeah, basically we just want people to take away from this that there's going to be division, but look inside, and yeah,
use it to heal yourself.
Use it to heal yourself and watch the whole show is what we got to say. Clips don't do it justice. All right, everybody. Wait, before I try to sign, we got another one. Maybe the whole point of soda is to provide something tangible enough to teach people they don't need either of the two most popular brands of anything. Yeah, exactly.
Good point. Yeah.
Or just choose something other than soda. Coconut water. I mean, I don't know, whatever works for you. But
Kombucha,
what's that?
kombucha,
Kombucha for sure.
or hard kombucha.
Exactly. I don't know if I remember how to stop. Oh, I know what I got to do. I got to go to this screen to stop this. That's right.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody. All right. Oops. Nope. Man, I can't work
Love you guys.
There we go. Love you
Much
guys.
love to the chat. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. Make sure you like, subscribe to us, share this around to people you think that will benefit from it. Remember, we don't woke rape here on the Oversharing Show. If you'd like to support us, you can go to morelawsmoreproblems.com, click on the Oversharing tab, and you could find more about us. You could find our audio podcast, which is just these episodes, and we put them in audio form. You could donate to us, whatever you want to do. But we always say the best way to support us is just to be here. Every Thursday night, we premiere our shows. We pre-record them, and we don't go live that often, but every once in a while we do. But every Thursday night, 8:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can come check us out and hang out in the chat. And we always have a bunch of cool people in there, a bunch of legends in there, and we always get along. So
yeah, great chat. We have the best chat, I gotta say.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Well, let's just say one of the best chats.
Well, I would say the most supportive chat. Like people in here are always really pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you listen to us, you have to be cool, because it's like most people are just gonna turn it off if they're just like jerks. They're gonna be like, "Fuck these guys," because we're kind of. It's like
we sound boring.
Yeah, to them we sound boring. Exactly, which I love. It's like our superpower, right? All right. Well, what do we say to the good people, Sharon?
That once you start oversharing,
then you totally stop being a Karen.
That's right.
That's
Enjoy,
right. No offense to
everybody.
anyone named Karen.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Good night.
Night, night.
All right. And it's over. It's still